Starliner Music. Welcome to my channel. Today in fingerboard geometry we'll be covering major triad inversions on strings 1, 2, and 3. First we'll look at some fingerings and then we'll do some exercises. Here we go. I hope you enjoy it. Alright, today we're going to be covering major triads on strings 1, 2, and 3, and we'll be playing these triads as chords. We'll be playing closed voicing chords. This means the intervals will be root, third, fifth, root, and fifth, root, third. Now, if all of this is sounding really foreign to you, you need to go back and review my fingerboard geometry videos on the major third and the perfect fifth. That will make watching this video a lot easier. So now let's start with the C chord in root position. The intervallic order is root, third, and fifth, and it looks like this on strings 1, 2, and 3. So that's root, third, fifth. C chord, so that's C, E, G. Now the next voicing is first inversion. First inversion means the third is the lowest sounding note. So that shape looks like this. So we have third, fifth, and root. And finally, we have the fifth in the bottom, and when the fifth is the lowest note in our chord, it is called second inversion. And so that shape looks like this. Now, some of these shapes may look familiar to you. They can be partially seen as extensions of, say, an open chord. For instance, this shape is what you have when you play an open A chord. So here's an A, and if I move it up to where it's a C, it's like this. This first inversion shape looks like the top part of an F chord that you may know. So if you just play 3 strings, you have this and then move it up. Now we have a C chord in first inversion. And finally, most of you will recognize this shape as a D. So here it's a D, and here it's a C chord. Let's take these 3 triad voicings and try them on another root. Alright, now let's do F triads. I'm going to start with first inversion F. That's located at the 1st fret. So first inversion F is third, fifth, root. Alright, now we have second inversion F. It's at the 5th fret, looks like a D chord. Here we have 5, 1, 3. And finally we have root position F, and it's located here between the 8th and 10th fret. So we have root, third, fifth on this F chord. Alright, now let's do G inversions. We're going to start with first inversion again here at the 3rd fret. So this is 3, 5, root. Then our next G chord is at the 7th fret, looks like a D. And it's 5, 1, 3. And finally, our last G chord is at the 10th fret. And it's root, third, fifth. Now that we've looked at inversions for C, F, and G, let's figure out how we can put them together. As many of you know, it's important to be able to visualize the 1, 4, and 5 chord within close proximity to each other. The 1, 4, and 5 chords are very common in chord progressions. If you do not know what 1, 4, and 5 mean, you need to go back and review my previous fingerboard geometry videos. In short, we're talking about the chords built from the 1st degree of the scale, the 4th degree of the scale, and the 5th degree of the scale. So in the key of C, that would be C, F, and G. Let's look at how these chords can finger within a 5 fret span. So if I have the C chord, that's the 1 chord in the key of C. Here's root position. My 4 chord, you could finger in second inversion right here, that's F. And my 5 chord is right here, G, in first inversion. Now moving up the neck to first inversion C. My 4 chord F is in root position. And my 5 chord G is in second inversion. And finally, if you move up to the 12th fret, you have second inversion C, first inversion F, and root position G. Let's try another key. All right, now let's try the key of A. Root position A, we have an open string here, and the 4 chord in the key of A is D. So D is right here in second inversion, so the 5th is in the bottom. And then the 5 chord in the key of A is E, and we have here an open first inversion E. You might recognize this as like the top few strings of the full E chord, just like the root position A was the top 3 strings of the full open A chord. So that's our 1, 4, and 5 in the key of A. And now let's move up the neck and try another set of inversions. We have first inversion A here at the 5th fret. 4 chord is D, and that's in root position. And our 5 chord is E, that is in second inversion. Now I'd like to mention that these triad shapes are sort of being presented here as chords, but remember you could arpeggiate them and use them in a solo over the 1, 4, and 5 chord. This is really helpful if you're trying to visualize chord tones within your solo. So 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, and then 1. So you could use them like in a single note fashion and outline your chord changes. Now our last set of inversions, we have the A chord here in second inversion, and that's our 1, so our 4 chord is D right here, and our 5 chord is in root position here. That's E. Now let's get a look at the exercises. For our first exercise, we're simply going to play inversions across the top 3 strings. So I'm going to start out with D. I'm trying to find the lowest version of D that I can play, and in this case, this is the lowest version. Lowest, I mean closest to the nut. And then the next D would be in root position. And then the final D is in first inversion. So one more time. Second inversion D. Root position D. And first inversion D. Now you can use a musical die and roll for a root and practice this, or you can use the circle of fifths or fourths and work through all 12 roots that way. In the performance of the exercise, I will demonstrate a few roots for you. Here we go. In the second set of exercises, I will demonstrate playing the 1, 4, and 5 chord within a 5-fret span. Right now, let's go ahead and look at the key of G. So here's G. The 1 chord is G. 4 chord is C. 5 chord is D. Now, I chose to start at the lowest G chord I could start on, lowest again, meaning closest to the nut. So this was first inversion. So next I would start on G, my 1 chord here in second inversion. So the 4 chord is C and the 5 chord is D. And then finally, my next grouping of inversions, I will have G in root position, C in second inversion, and D in first inversion. Again, you can use the circle of fourths or fifths to work through all 12 keys. Otherwise, you can roll using a musical die to select your root letter. Let's see how the exercise is done. That's it for major triad inversions on strings 1, 2, and 3. I'm Kimberly Allison from Starliner Music, and I hope to see you back on my channel soon.